After the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank, what's left of that bank now being purchased by First Citizens Bank, the deal being confirmed by the FDIC this morning, including the purchase of about $72 billion in bank assets at a discounted price of $16.5 billion. A deal. Joining us now for more, former Massachusetts Congressman Barney Frank and longtime Trump advisor Bruce LeVell. Gentlemen, good morning. It's great to have you both on this Monday. Bruce, good to see you again. Bruce, I'd like to start with you, just get your reaction to this deal. Was this the right move?
Wow, this makes me nervous in general. This is kind of like deja vu, and thanks for having me, Rob. I went through, in my family and many other my business colleagues, we suffered some of the blunt on the 2008 bank failure. One thing real quick I want to make a point is that when some of these banks were given money, as we say, the taxpayers' money, some of the businesses were grouped into those failed banks that were solvent and that were really doing good business. And then once these banks acquired these other banks, they called loans. And a lot of viewers, y'all know where I'm going with this. This was a really bad situation that pretty much punished some really good people that were on the books that were solvent, quote, that got, put together and pretty much pushed off the books with the new banks that acquired the failed banks.
Yeah, good point. Congressman, you were on the board at Signature Bank. Signature Bank failed, same time that Silicon Valley Bank failed. You also co-authored Dodd-Frank in 2010 with Chris Dodd, Connecticut senator. What's going to happen to Signature Bank? Are you expecting something similar?
Well, first of all, we didn't fail at the same time, Signature Bank. We were shut down after Silicon Valley failed, and I think it was the New York State regulator that shut us down, not the federal people. They gave the order. I think it was because they have decided to tell people don't be involved with crypto. Signature Bank was involved with crypto, but not in a way that put us at risk. We didn't have crypto assets ourselves. What we did was to provide a platform for other businesses that wanted to deal with each other voluntarily in crypto. And I think even though that was successful and was not putting us at risk, that's why we were shut down. As to what happens now, I think because we changed the rules in 2008, it's a very much different situation now. It's not nearly as bad.
Yeah.
Look, a couple of weeks after the failure of Silicon, the markets have stabilized. Not many more banks have failed. Go back to 2008, and in a comparable period, it was still metastasizing and things were getting worse.
Well, Congressman, I think you make a good point, but you look at what's gone on with First Republic and Credit Suisse, and I'd say we're right back in 2008, but we're just responding a lot faster. Okay, let me ask it, quick follow-up. What do you think Congress needs to do today to update Dodd-Frank to better address how people bank today? Think about 13 years ago, the majority of Americans didn't do banking and trading on their cell phones. Most do today.
Absolutely right. Excellent point. And what that has done is to make deposits very volatile. You now have the situation where the biggest banks are in a position, the big four, to suck deposits out of the community banks and the smaller banks, because in part of what you said, you can now switch your deposits literally with a push of a button. So I think Congress should do now what we tried to do in the House in 2010, increase the deposit guarantee. Not for personal accounts, not for people who have $1 million in pocket money. They can take care of themselves. But you have businesses that have payroll obligations, that have millions they have to pay over a month to stay in business. I think they should be allowed to get deposit insurance sufficient to tide them over for the amount that's needed to carry on businesses so they don't get pressured or call in loans, as was referred. And you make the point. You can now move the deposit to become so volatile. And so for business deposits, where a small businessman has a legitimate need for millions in cash, that should be guaranteed.
And Congressman, it seems like there is an appetite for that. We'll keep an eye on it. Bruce, to you, want to go back to Lower Manhattan. The grand jury is going to reconvene today over a possible indictment of former President Donald Trump. Assess for us how you think this is going to play out this week.
Yeah, once again, I say it and I'll say it again. I hope this doesn't go down, for the sake of President Trump also, and mainly for the sake of the American people in the country. This is totally crazy. You're putting this whole entire case on a a convicted criminal who was doing dirty deeds as far as back as 2012. And he was on tape. You saw his own counsel said, look, he will lie, cheat, steal, and do whatever to try to save himself. So I'm so perplexed how Alvin Bragg would put his whole entire career and put this country and the city of New York at risk on putting something that's not even barely a misdemeanor. If it and you know that you saw the president, he doubled down in Waco and said, he went to the fact that I called her a horse face. I mean, but you know, I'm just saying, it's like
Right.
he totally denied that, and it just keeps going on and on. So I'm hoping that, Rob, this doesn't happen.
Okay, Bruce, thank you. Congressman, about 30 seconds. Same question to you.
Well, I haven't looked at the specifics. My preference would be that he wouldn't be indicted because, frankly, I want him to be the Republican nominee next time around because I think, frankly, he would lose. There is one thing that I'm glad we've separated. One, there was a question about should a president or ex-president be subject to criminal process? And the answer there should be yes. Then the next question is this particular charge a valid one? That's a separate question. And people who disagree with that, which they have every right to do, I'm glad to see that people are not announcing what some people have argued, that no matter what a president does or an ex-president, there's no criminal process. I want to keep those two particular important questions separate.
Okay. Barney Frank, Bruce LeVell, we appreciate you being with us on this Monday morning. Good to see you both. Thank you.